What's up, Rockers? Metal Dave here, along with my co-host Jason McMaster, bringing you another episode of the Talk Louder podcast. Today, we are joined by guitarist Phil Demmel, who is, man, what an illustrious career. Violence, Machine Head. He's currently part of the new Kerry King band. They've got an album coming out May 17th. The album is called From Hell I Rise. We talk about that. And
he's a go-to.
Yeah, he's a go-to. He's
Lamb of God Slayer, Lamb of God Slayer. I mean, you say that, you're like, holy shit. And he's part of the whole Bay Area thrash movement, Violence and all. Oh my God. All over the fucking place. Testament.
He's filled in for everybody at one time or another. And one of the questions that we didn't get to, I was going to ask him, out of all the bands that he's filled in for, which one would he have been the most comfortable becoming a permanent member of?
Good question.
Yeah, and we didn't get around to that. Phil had some things to do today, obviously a busy man. We wanted to respect that, but we did get about an hour and 15 minutes with him. He's a great guy, so much fun to talk to, and obviously a lot of ground to cover. What a great career he's had.
So you and I have been blessed to have been able to press play on the new Kerry King record.
Yes.
And to hear Phil's solos intertwine harmonically with Kerry's solos is reminiscent of, the way KK Downing and Glenn Tipton would go back and forth, and, Sinner and stuff like that. And of course, like Slayer, because I think Judas Priest is kind of that model is where Slayer, if I may be as bold to say.
I think they would even admit that.
Yeah, they would even admit that, right. A lot of people don't realize that, though. You bring that up to hardcore Slayer fans, and some of them go, I don't get it. And it's like, if you don't get it, you're not listening to the musicality of what Judas Priest has and then what Slayer has, because the model is close, man.
Yeah, it's pretty apparent.
Yeah, I think so, too. Anyway, that's happening, because I feel like that is what, and listen to this interview, watch this interview, because we got an affirmation from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So just the way that Kerry has put this project together is no different. It's the way that he bakes a cake.
Yeah.
We'll know what that means in a minute.
Yeah. Great band. Mark from Death Angel on vocals.
Sounds amazing.
Paul Bostoff on drums. Incredible. Phil, of course, Kerry, of course, and then Kyle from Hell Yeah is on bass.
Yeah, I didn't know he was in Blood Simple. I think I have a Blood Simple record.
Was it Blood Simple? Oh, yeah,
Blood
he
Simple,
did say that, yeah.
I met the drummer a few times from Blood Simple.
So he's got this is a great band. It's a great record, as we discuss in the show, and as Kerry has said in the press, if you are a fan of Slayer, you're going to find plenty to like here. It sounds very much like a Slayer record in a lot of places, which is not unexpected. And so Kerry has said he wasn't done when Slayer decided to call it quits. And I think this is an obvious extension of where he would have continued going with Slayer. He just put some different dudes together and kept going. So I think people are going to really enjoy this, all of you Slayer fans out there.
Yeah, I'm digging the record. I think Idle Hands, the single when that came out, and I got my hands around it, and got my ears around it. I didn't know what to feel or think, because, everybody just wants Slayer to continue, but, life is not like that. It's not there to be there the way you want it all the time. And we get into that a little bit in this episode. But it's growing on me fast. And there's you can't judge the record by the one song. You just can't.
Yeah,
so,
I feel like the one song, the single, Idle Hands, maybe, I mean, I've only heard the record a few times, and I'll listen to it many more, but I might argue that it is the most Slayer-like song on the record. And the other songs are thrashy, and they've got a Slayer vibe, but Idle Hands, I think, is the closest thing to sounding almost exactly like Slayer on the record. And then the other songs have a bit of nuance that's maybe you hear the Slayer in there, but it's not as apparent all the way through the song. But it's early, right? We just got the record recently.
I'm coming at it with a different head, totally different head. I'm going in knowing that this is not Slayer. So even when I hear it sounding even a little bit like Slayer, and even we realized today from this conversation with Phil Demmel why Mark might be sounding a little bit like Tom in some places. We found out why. So if you listen to this episode or watch this episode, you'll find out tons of information that might just be missing here today. Phil Demmel on the Talk Louder podcast.
How are you, man?
Good, man. Good. Sunday morning here.
Where are you?
I'm in Northern California, just east of Oakland by about 15 miles.
Oh, so it's early for you.
Dublin, California. Yeah, it's about 9 o'clock, but I've got a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, so they're both up at 7 or so.
Yeah, I get that. I
got up at 6:30.
Attaboy.
Yeah, I seem to be getting a lot of shit done because I'm getting up old man early.
Yes, right on.
Like so much shit. Like I'm in the middle of I'm done. I'm just approving mixes and stuff right now for a new record, and the last four tunes I got up at like 6 or 7 a.m. and before 10 a.m. recorded vocals and shipped them off.
That is so not rock and roll.
Yeah, right.
Dude, tell me about it. But it's not like I have better shit to do. That's the shit I live to do. Yeah, I just have other shit to do, not better shit to do.
Yeah, Phil was talking about having young children, and I remember my son is 16 now, but when he was 3 and 4 and 5, we used to wake up at like 6:30, 7 a.m. on the weekends, and I had everything on my to-do list done by lunchtime. It was a great feeling, and now that's not the case anymore because he's 16 and he'll sleep till noon, and so will I, if I given the chance. But
oh man, I remember those days.
Yeah,
I remember being able to sleep 20 hours. Like there was a few instances where I just slept an entire day away, and I can't do that anymore. With I do a lot of stuff around the house, and if there's not a project or somebody's set to learn or taking a kid to preschool or to daycare or to elementary school or to high school, then I don't know what to do with myself. So
you are let's get into this because you are totally Renaissance. You pressure wash your fence.
Yes. I built the fence.
And you build walls.
Yeah. I built a wall.
And you destroy I've seen your videos. You're like constantly you have a very large social media footprint that's like not even like the metal that you play.
Right, it's not even music related. It's Phil
Demmel's tool time
kitchen, right? Yeah.
Remodeling hour with Phil Demmel, right?
But it's not like I'm some amazing craftsman, though. I know how to do a bunch of shit. It's not like it's now super elaborate or it's like the best job I've. It's a fucking fence. I can, but I can tear down the wall. I got a sawzall. I can, I know how to do stuff. It's jack of all trades, master of none.
The dining room table drumstick lamp.
Oh yeah.
Dave's like, what the fuck are they talking about?
I haven't seen this.
Dude, right.
It's crazy. You're an artiste as well as living in the checkout line at Home Depot.
Well, I had help with that. I have a buddy, his name's Brad Fields, who's he's a contractor and he's not afraid to really get into the crazy stuff. So he originally had designed something for these. We had hey, what can we do with these drumsticks? And so he had a guy with a 3D printer print up this gear that has the slots for all the sticks around it. So at the bar, me and the wife own a bar. So that's another thing that happens.
Wow.
So we have a bar, and I've got drummers that I know to donate a set of sticks, like 13 sticks will fit on these chandeliers. And so I hit up Lars. Lars sent me some sticks.
Nice.
Lombardo, Charlie Benante, Dave McClain, of course, Braun from Mastodon. My cousin is Troy Lucetta, who was in Tesla.
Wow.
Mike Portnoy sent me one from every one of his bands. So there's like a Portnoy of all the bands that he's in. And Johnny Tempesta's up there. So they all have their own light above the bar, and people don't even realize what they are until they get kind of close. And it's kind of it's a cool little nostalgia.
So it's not just any old drumstick.
No.
Art lamp. It's like you got the serious. I mean, that shopping list of drummers you just rattled off is like,
it's pretty unreal.
Yeah.
And so, so the ones I started collecting for my son started playing drums a while ago, and so around 2009 or 10. So I started collecting sticks I'd go to festivals and just hit up, whoever. So I've got the ones in the kitchen are like the trophies. They're the Frank Baird from ZZ Tops, and a lot of the legends are in there. I've got Joey Jordison, Reed from COC, and Vinnie Paul, and all these guys have passed away now that are all in one spot. And then I have one that's made up of all the drummers that I played in a band with too. So my local guys, but Bostoff from Slayer and Lombardo and all these guys that I've jammed with, Bittner from, Overkill. And so it's become, I've had an amazing collection, and I'm finally able to get them out of the box and do something super cool.
That's awesome. Is the bar, what's the name of the bar? Is it in your house or is it a business?
No, it's a business. It's
what's it called?
It was my local dive bar that I would go to. It's about 1.5 miles from my house. I would stumble home from sometimes. And Marta, my wife, who plays in a band called Bleeding Through, when she moved up here with me, she needed, a job to do when she's off tour. And my buddy Jay got her a job at this bar called Evie's, which was like the local joint. So she works her way up through the ranks, becomes, because that's what she does. She just kicks ass. And so the owner is this older lady. She's owned the business for like 30 years, and she wants to retire. She's all about girl power, so all the bartenders are all empowered women, and Marta being one of those, she wanted to pass off her legacy to her. So we bought it together, and we renamed it the Back Lounge. So as musicians, you understand about the Back Lounge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So people in town didn't really know about it, but now they do, so they're all the back door or the what, it's called the Back Lounge. It's about 80, under 100 capacity, couple pool tables. It's just your local dive bar that's pretty clean.
That's awesome.
Board, darts, and all the screens for all the sports and stuff. We do karaoke one night a week, and it's a good time, man.
That's awesome. That's always kind of been a dream of mine, because I'm not a musician, but I love music, and I've collected all this memorabilia over the years. And I've always thought it would be cool to have like my version of the Hard Rock Cafe, but not so commercialized,
Yeah.
As you said, just a local dive bar, maybe just a small stage for some acoustic acts or something, but mostly just walls covered with stuff and just a place to hang out, Yeah,
and it's kind of that way. We don't want it to be too much of a rock thing. It's super eclectic. So Dublin is a very integrated area. So we get all walks coming in there, and we don't want it to be just, it's inundated with, metal and rock and stuff like that. So we keep it, the front door and the back door are, Jackson donated some guitar necks. So the pools are the neck for the bathroom. They're guitar pools. My buddy Brad, again, took Dave McClain, donated some drums. And so over the pool table, there are drums with LED lights in them. So the drum lights are over the pool tables.
Yeah.
And musicians that come in, I have them sign the drums. So I have some of my Machine Head and like the foam fingers from Machine Head, Headbang Motherfucker are up. Overkill, when I played in Overkill, they have the, fuck you foam fingers. That's up. So, and there's some guitars laying around and stuff, but we keep it kind of
a bit
any
safe.
any night. It could be hip hop. It could be country. It could be rock. It could be anything. We want to keep it open for it's a business, so we don't want to like exclude anybody.
Sure. Yeah. Wow, that sounds great, man. Congratulations on that.
It can't just
Super
be
fun.
like mom's basement's landfill,
Right.
Hey, before we get started, I was going to share a story with you, Phil. You won't remember this, but I saw you and we talked for a little bit when Violence was on tour with Voivod.
Oh wow.
And this had to be, I'm guessing, like 88 or something.
November, December 88.
Yeah. And this was in San Antonio, and you were playing at a club called Sneakers.
Sneakers, right.
And I was hanging out, and I saw you, and you were wearing a Ramones shirt, and I was wearing an Oakland Raiders T-shirt.
Oh, that's why I picked you out, probably.
Yeah. So I walked up to you and I said, "Hey, man, how's it going?" And you were like, "Oh, cool, dude." And you were like, "Cool shirt." And I was like, "Yeah, I like yours too, because I'm a huge Ramones fan."
Right on.
And I said, "I'll trade you mine for yours." And you were like, "Dude, I live in Oakland. I've got 100 Raiders T-shirts."
Yeah, that Ramon shirt, I remember it was white and it had, Winterland, the t-shirt company was right in town. And so we were able to go by and pilfer some stuff. And that was one of my favorite shirts at the time. It's like, I'm not giving this one up. This one.
Yeah. You weren't having it, but I tried.
I got to go to the old Winterland warehouses as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was like our road, like laundry day. I mean, we got shirts that we didn't really care about, so we could just not have to do laundry.
Cool.
I won't mention the bands that were, shirts I wore on laundry day. That would not be
clean
nice.
shirt.
So yeah.
What do you remember about that tour with Voivod? That was a great bill, and you guys were touring the Eternal Nightmare album.
Yeah,
I believe, and they were doing Dimension Hatros. I mean, that was two bands at sort of the peak of their powers right there.
Yeah, probably for that time. I think that we had just done the States with Testament on the New Order tour, and we played all those same clubs in July, August, and then here we are coming right back, and we're feeling good because we did well on the tour, and we're playing these same clubs with Voivod, and they're half of what the Testament crowd was.
Right.
Yeah.
It was cold. I remember at least we got a trailer with that tour. We were all packed in on the Testament tour with there was 7 of us, Debbie, our manager, Joe, our manager, and us 7 guys on 2 benches, all our luggage, all our gear in one van. The drums were tied to the roof.
Whoa.
So there's no sleeping. That was the rule, no sleeping. If we can't sleep, the 2 people on the bench, that was the luxury because you got to share a bench with just one person.
Yeah.
We were able to spread out a little bit on the Voivod tour. We discovered, that was when we really learned about struggling on the road, and a lot of shows there weren't a lot of people. And it was a weird matchup because Voivod was on Mechanic with us, so we got kind of put together as a Mechanic tour. And I don't know if it was a good match, a thrash band at that point, and Voivod was kind of maybe trying to break away from being a thrash band or being a thrash band. So
I said 2 bands at the peak of their powers, and I should maybe correct that, because Voivod was an artistic shift for them at that period, and you guys, of course, were just getting started and went on to great things. You especially moved on to, that was sort of your launching pad. But
yeah, kind of.
I remember as a kid, as a fan of both bands in 1988, that was a great bill for me. I did my first stage dive at that show.
Oh, awesome!
And you're right, there weren't many people there.
No, there wasn't. I don't know if you went to the just months earlier. We played Sneakers with Testament, but also Overkill was on tour with Nuclear Assault. So in Texas, those tours got together. So it was Overkill, Testament, Nuclear Assault, and Violence, which was a solid package.
Wow.
And the Sneaker stop was packed, and they had that was like a room in the back, right? Because there was a whole other club in the. I remember there was like a wet T-shirt contest going on or something on the other side or something like that. I was like, this is awesome,
Yeah.
That's metal, and I just turned 21 that year too, so I was able to You know?
I looked up doing research on you, and you're 10 days older than me.
Oh yeah.
Your birthday is April 2nd, 67.
Yeah, I got
I'm
you.
April 12th, 67. So
All right, man.
Oh,
we
you
were
got
in
a
the house.
birthday, you guys have a birthday coming right up.
Couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I just had mine. So
I'm guessing you might be a couple years older than us.
yeah, I just turned 59.
Yeah,
and,
exactly. A couple years.
that was on the 18th.
Awesome, man. Well, happy birthday.
Well, thanks. Listen, there's so many things that we could talk about, and we could hang for hours. So don't let us do that. Let's try
man,
to
just spit out whatever you want to talk about.
I feel like I am a romantic to the retrospect that is tape trading days and little Phil, right? All the way to just whatever, right?
Yeah, man.
Because that whatever has really snowballed into, like, I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable, but legendary status. I mean, the people that your namesake is standing right next to are the people that you kind of followed when you were little Phil.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course, and that's so beautiful and great and if I may say, well deserved on in a lot of levels. But at the same time, that when you say well deserved, the word deserving is kind of smarmy,
Yeah, when you say it about yourself.
Yeah, right. But you know what I mean.
Me and Marta have this thing about, you don't get to call yourself a badass.
No, you don't.
Other people call you a badass, but when you call yourself a badass, it's like I can't, like you said with deserve. I said, well, I deserve this. It's more bestowed upon from somebody else, where it's more of a compliment in that sense. Otherwise, it's just bragging and
you can't walk into the palace and go, hey, I want to be knighted.
Yes,
you can can you just knight me? Let's get it over with. That doesn't play well.
I'm not that guy.
No, you're not. And that's where I'm kind of taking this. And I'm sorry that was long-winded, but Machine Head did a lot of great tours and became, I feel, really had footprint in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And probably a lot more in America. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's always been the stronghold for that band, especially in Germany and the UK. And even Australia too. They huge down there and bigger. For whatever reason, America was always hard when I was in the band to kind of break.
Yeah.
It was always more, we're going over to, we're going overseas and it's going to get real. Not like it was bad in the States. I mean,
no, it wasn't. The shows I've seen were, if not a large club, 500 plus capacity, it was, rivaling a small theater, which, that could be anywhere from 5 or 6 to 1,000 or more.
Right.
And it was
after 30 years, that's a pretty amazing feat.
Yes. And standing ovation to that on all accounts, and even the rough rides. I feel like the material changed a couple of times, and
and
the band looked different for a second, and there was a lot of interesting moments, but it's tumultuous in other ways as well. The climate of that kind of metal, you can put anything in a box that you like. I refuse boxes, right?
All right.
But the way that what's popular, the temperature of whatever that is changing all the time too. So I hear people, Rob Halford, Paul Stanley, everybody in between says adapt or die. It's like the recording industry. It's everything. Sure. It's art. It's everything. So do you feel like that is happening with Kerry King? Do you feel like that's happened with You know, other bands that you've played with will keep them in the corral, you know, Lamb of God and even Violence. Do you feel like maybe Violence is stuck to its own guns the entire opus?
I think that Machine Head definitely had adapted, and Rob is a student of music and of the barometer of what's happening in the industry.
Yeah.
And I think that there are decisions that are made based on that as far as music in that sense. I think that, and there's no shame in that. I mean, like you said,
I don't think so.
Kiss, and I think that Slayer, for one, has pretty much been the AC/DC of thrash, and has pretty much maintained their formula and what they do. And I could tell you that this new record is there is no trend hopping on this, right?
No,
unless it's 1986 again.
Right. Well, right. Well, I feel like Slayer did, if I may, not to dabble in, oh, we need a new sound. You know, I don't think that was happening at all. But there were a couple of moments maybe with the slight lineup changes. And, you know, like I feel like in 94, there was a little bit of a different thing going on. I think that the Undisputed Attitude really had Slayer fans learning a lot about Slayer and what Slayer originally was about. And I'm so glad that they did something like that, because it just kind of opened the whole thing to it.
I was, I knew that Jeff was super into punk, and I didn't know the history or like they were that into it or whatever. And I, at that point, everything after Seasons for me was I don't know. Those are the records. There are songs that I like off the following records, and but they kind of, I mean, they were my band. I mean, Metallica and Exodus, and this scene was thriving here. But the minute that, as soon as I saw Slayer for the first time, they were like, became, holy shit, what is this? I was born up in a Christian home, and this like, is something so far removed that they were my band. So for them to, after those first 4 records, and it's no slight against Paul or anything, but it just felt like after Divine, things kind of just shifted in a different direction, like you were saying.
I love Divine. I fucking love Divine.
Yeah.
It's an unreal record. I mean, there's moments on there that are fucking brutal and just take me into Slayer land.
Yeah.
But it is different. But it is different.
Yeah. And maybe that there was just some sort of disconnect with me in that sense, because there are songs that I like. I like Everybody Hates on Diabolus, and I really like that record.
Well, that's kind of what I wasn't even going to say the name of the record, because it kind of does put it in a box. I hate to separate it because it's fucking Slayer, but at the same time, kind of felt different for a second.
Yes, it was, and I was kind of feeling it. Everybody hated on Stain of Mine. I thought it was great. I loved the Burning Red too. When that came out, everybody was, a lot of people were hating on it. And, he's rapping. It's just like, I fucking dug it. I felt the conviction in what he was, I loved Rage Against the Machine at that time. And it's just like, I guess I didn't, after I was out of music for a couple years at that point. So I didn't know about nu metal, or I didn't know about any of that. I just, growing up, I loved disco. I loved disco,
I still do.
And my next door neighbor was my cousin, who was like the older guy, and he had the AC/DC records, the Foghat records, and the Nugent records, and he's the one that introduced me to hard rock.
Are you talking about Troy?
No. This is my cousin Ron.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even meet Troy until 2007.
But how are you related to Troy Lucetta again?
Our moms are cousins.
Oh, far out.
So he's my second cousin.
We just had Frank Hannon on the show.
Oh, right on.
He's great.
I'm not going to talk much about Troy.
No, we didn't talk about Troy. But Frank Hannon is pretty cool cat, man.
Yeah. Amazing player too.
Yeah, his father-in-law is Dickie Betts. What the fuck?
Man, crazy.
Is that crazy as shit?
That's insane.
Yeah, what are you doing? Oh, I'm hanging out with my father-in-law. What's his name? Dickie Betts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just playing some guitars. Yeah.
But when I was talking about like
yeah.
growing up and like my cousin was like, oh, I don't listen to disco. It's like, well, I didn't know there was a stigma with like, oh, disco sucks and that whole thing. So the same thing with me, and fast forward to late 90s where it's like, I'm just listening. I'm doing my construction job. I've been out of music for a couple of years. I'm just playing basketball, snowboarding, fucking playing golf, being married, and, doing my thing. So I'm listening to Incubus on whatever's on the radio,
Yeah.
So then this comes out, and I don't know that there's like a stigma with new metal and it's rap, it's a whole thing. It's like, I just know music that I connect with.
Yeah.
And that's how I related the two. So Stain of Mind was one of those moments where it's just like, okay, so it sounds like Biohazard, or like, what's the problem? It's a fucking great song, it's different. Yeah, it's different, but I'm still digging it.
Well, when the vocal phrasing changes a certain way, someone else has an attitude about it if it's different than the flow that the vocals had before. But when you think about the riffs and their stopping and starting, and you think Back in Black and Highway to Hell, those tracks, and then you think about just a heavier, faster, groovier version of the same thing, Honky Tonk Woman, whatever, where there's lots of space, but the spaces are shorter because the songs are faster. Right. And then the phrasing of the vocal is different over it. Rap? I don't,
it's new, what up?
Rap metal? I mean, Biohazard's cool. There's a lot of cool things that are happening that have a different light and flavor to them. So yeah, let's move on. The tape trading world, part of Baby Phil, young Phil, and learning and being in the Bay Area, right upon the BayArea, and being part of that legendary scene makes my heart beat so fast.
It was a crazy time, man. My buddy Dave Culberhouse was the one that was really he got into Law's Rocket, when they had the demo out, and he turned me on to the Prelude to Death demo from Law's Rocket, and we went to go see them, and Phil Kettner, the guitar player, and Aaron Gillum, they were metal. They weren't really a thrash band. Yeah, I'm sure you're familiar with Law's Rocket in the early days.
Yeah.
So, and they became like, they were the local, they all wore black spandex because everybody was wearing spandex back then in the early 80s, and they became a local guy, Willie Langenhusen, who was in a band called Rampage, and he was in a band called Diamond, but he was like a local Dublin guy. He got into Law's Rocket. So that was like a big deal for all us Dublin dudes, and going out to see them open for Wasp, on the Fuck Like the Beast picture disc release, show. And so learning about all these other bands, my buddy's got the Exodus demo, and then, the Megadeth demo comes out, and like, it's literally a cassette with like a Polaroid or a picture of Mustaine rapping, like the J card is just a picture of Mustaine, So learning about all these different things and meeting new people from all over, from Sacramento, are coming down, and you're going to the record vault and the record exchange, and just looking at all these different albums. It's a whole new world, and learning about Exciter from Canada, and like they were my band, man. I just love those first two Exciter records, and
Game Changer.
And meeting other people. I fast forward to, I'm a senior in high school in 1985. I get asked to play in this band called Death Penalty, which are all I was in more of I don't know, like a Armored Saint type band, which wasn't really thrash, but we were metal, but these guys were playing thrash, and that was like Chuck Billy's younger brothers playing bass, and so we end up doing some parties. We end up naming the band Violence, and Legacy comes out with their demo, so all these cassettes are flying around, and Zet was Zet was in a band with me in high school. Me and Zet's brother were the ones that said, "You're going to sing for us," And so we brought him into his first band, and he would sing all falsetto, like, Queen of the Queensryche EP had just come out, and he wanted to be Jeff Tate, he had this falsetto, Queen of the Rock, and that's how he sang for us. And then he ended up quitting us to join Legacy, which was, of course, became Testament. And so that was kind of that train. I joined Violence. We're learning about these demos. We're going to the record vault and getting other demos by Sacrilege and Mordred and all these local bands. And our demo gets picked up by Kerrang, and my address is on there in this Kerrang magazine. We're like, oh shit, and so people are sending letters, and then I learn about the tape trading, and people sending these like mixtapes, of all these different bands, Sacrifice and the Accused, and have all these different Creator. We're learning about Tankard and Raw Power from Italy, and the world is just it's just growing by this.
Well, that was the same thing as the internet.
Yeah,
that was analog internet.
It was, man, and it was this cool little network of I can't tell you how many. My mom helped me set up the J card and for our demo, and I'm like buying all the little styrofoam packages and writing everybody's addresses out, and sending. I don't even know.
Do you? How do you? I mean, just an insight here. Back then, I wonder if all of our mothers appreciated us putting her home address and phone number, landline phone number, all over the world in fanzine, contact sheets and tape trading magazine, fanzine shit. Your mom's address and phone number. I mean, it's your address and phone number, but dude, that's your mom's house, bro.
Right.
Yeah, everyone's gonna know. Gonna be knocking on the door at 3 a.m. going, dude, is Phil home?
Hey, can you show me the rip?
Brought a 6-pack, man.
Funny story is I bought my parents' house. I'm still at the same address.
Wow.
Look up that old Kerrang article, and it's not like it's hard to find out where somebody lives these days.
No, it's not.
Right.
Spooky. Yeah,
man. I got so many questions.
Man.
Let's talk about the Kerry King record, and then I want to go back and touch on some of your history. But from Hell I Rise is the title of the Kerry King album that's coming out in May, I believe.
Yep.
So how much, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of that material was already written when the band was assembled. Is that accurate?
Pretty much, it was already put together. I mean, then he engaged all of us together, and then he continued to write with Paul. This is Kerry's project, top to bottom.
Right.
All the lyrics, all the music, creative decisions, top to bottom.
Of course.
I was just curious if there was room for tweaking it once you kind of joined the band. Was there room for, editing the songs in any way, or did you basically show up and it was all written and you basically recorded it verbatim, according to Kerry, and maybe there's time in the future for collaboration?
Yeah, I think that it was all together because he was sending me stuff and I was recording at home. I've got my studio here that I record in, and so he would and I'll give me some times. He's sending me songs. It's like, where are my solos at? And so he would give me the times where he wanted maybe try something here. And I added some harmony stuff that if he wasn't going to be into, I just put the harmonizer on the patch, and do it that way. But he was into some of that. But for the most part, it was like, here's your spots, which it's exactly what I signed up for. I didn't expect anything more than that. And it was awesome. I guess my first concern was my solo style and if it was going to be conducive to what the material was.
Yeah.
I think I played differently, than Jeff and than Gary, my approach to the solos are different. So it's my style. I wanted to make sure that he was cool with it. And after demoing some stuff, are you, and I gave him that pitch. It's like, this is what I am, are you okay with that? He's like, oh yeah, I don't hate it, in typical Gary,
Right.
that's a compliment, man. So it's just, all right. He doesn't,
But I appreciate that, that dry kind of compliment. I appreciate
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
If there's one thing that I know with him is exactly where he stands and exactly what he's feeling. There's no, he has his agenda, of course, but there's no meandering around what the point he's going to try to get to. And there's no steps being set up to, it's like, this is what I'm thinking.
This is what Brian Slagle, we had Brian Slagle, and Brian Slagle said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Man of his word, Kerry King.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he gets this stigma of being a fucking asshole or a fucking dick or any of that. And he's not. He's a nice dude. And he's like an empathetic dude. Like, he's a caring guy about stuff. Yeah. It's not like he's this hardened dick and blah, blah, blah. He's just like, there's just not a filter there where like, no, I don't like that. Or nah, or I can't do this because blah, blah, blah. And it's just straightforward, man. And I, wish people would kind of understand that about, other people. It's not him being a fucking, well, maybe he could be considered a dick, but that's not his intent. He's just like, I'm not fucking around. I'm not going to bullshit you.
It's kind of the thing. If you know, and if you don't, you're misinformed or don't care. So,
and 99.9% of us are outsiders anyway. So we don't have,
we don't know what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. So, was the band already assembled when you got the offer? Tell me how that went. Like, did Kerry call you and say, "Hey, I've got this band and so and so's on bass and so so's on drums, and are you interested?" Or were you one of the first guys in the band kind of coalesced around you? How did the assembly of the band and how did the offer come to you from Kerry?
Well, my last year in Machine Head, 2018. We bought the bar in 2018. Slayer came around, not their final time to the Bay Area, but they were coming through. And in my mind, I had one foot on a banana peel, the other was out the door with Machine Head. I was just waiting for that last thing to drop or just something to push me in that direction. I mean, it's an unbelievable gig playing in Machine Head. The music is great. The touring is phenomenal. The band is whatever. But for me, on a personal level, it was just time. I didn't really dig the last record or how it was written. And it was just, my time was just up. And that's so fair. I hit up Kerry. I'm all, what are you doing after this is all over? Just he's all, I don't, he's all, yeah, me and Paul definitely, maybe Gary are going to do something. I'm going to keep writing. And so then in September of that year, this is like 3 months later, when the news drops that I'm quitting, but I'm still going to do a tour in November or whatever, but I'm quitting the band. He texted me that day. He's like, that's why you were asking me, what I was doing next. So he knew. And I told him, I said, yeah, I want to be a part of what you're doing next. That would be my perfect post Machine Head, plan. I want to do this, what you were doing. And at that point he had Paul, and there was some, he still hadn't committed for a minute. I think that there was still maybe seeing where Gary was at, so another, of course, 2 months later, Gary has to get sent home and I get the call to come out and join them on the road.
Yeah.
And after the last Machine Head show, that happens. And I come out, I do my time with Slayer, and it was, amazing. And so I think that performance and that situation kind of maybe cemented in his eyes that, maybe I was the guy. He lets me know it not for another year. It's 2019. Yeah, 2019, August. We've been having a back and forth about, stuff, and he's telling me about kind of, because there was talk about maybe him and Anselmo doing something, being part of this before all the Pantera stuff started. So Anselmo was a possible thing. Slayer's doing their last tour, and Kerry, we're at a Raider game, and he takes we're at they won. It was a freak occurrence. The Raiders won, and so we're at the local bar after, and he's all, this is what I'm thinking, me, Paul, you, Kyle, the bass player, and a vocalist to be determined later.
Where's Kyle from?
Kyle's from he played in Hell Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
He played in a band called Blood Simple, which was
I remember that band.
Yeah, cool band.
Yeah.
And
a little bit different.
Yeah. Tim Williams was on vocals, dug him. And then he played, I want to say the first time, I don't want to say, I'm just going to say that the first time I met him was he was in a band called Medication with Logan Mader.
Yeah.
And Whitfield Crane.
Yeah.
Back
wow.
in the late 90s.
Far out.
That's when because he's hard to miss. Big left-handed, tall heads, So I think that's the first time I got introduced to him. So that's 2019. I get the all right, you're on board type of thing. Slayer does their last run. I remember Kerry telling me I was at the last Slayer show, and he tells me as we're partying, he's all, when I know something, you'll know something, So he didn't really have a plan. Another 2 months later, the world is shut down, and
wow.
So everything just goes into this waiting game, and this keep it on the down low type deal. It's like a secret that I kept for 4.5 years.
Yeah. That's tough, man. That's so.
How do you keep a secret like that in the age of the internet?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was one of those things that I treasured so much, and I didn't want to fuck up. I didn't want to betray,
of course,
the trust at this point. I told my wife. There was a couple of super inner circle people that I told. But, in this case, and what are you going to do now? You got nothing going on now. It's just like, yeah, I do. I've got something pretty big that's going to happen, but I can't, But fortunately, all these other things, all the other fill-in things kind of fell into place over the time, and was able to keep me busy in that time until this is ready to hatch.
It's interesting. I'm once again, I'm romanticizing about this kind of like thing that just happens. I mean, here we are, 20, 30, 40 years into playing, doing our thing, right? And we're elder gents now. I mean, this same story pretty much just happened with Mick Mars leaving Motley Crue.
Right.
Where he's making a secret record, and he's got all these guys, that he's writing with, but he's making all the decisions, and he's in charge. And the whole thing is a secret for years. Right. It's a fucking secret. Maybe not for 4.5 years.
Right.
But 3 years, So this kind of thing is at our age, and where the hard rock heavy metal community is now, if you've been all up in it since you can say tape trading days, it's gonna happen. Not even just because of burnout, it's just happening because of life. So we've been listening to the record, the song. It's interesting, Kerry wrote all of the lyrics, Wow. Okay.
Yeah. You got the record. All right.
We have the record. Yeah. Me and Dave have the record. Yeah.
We have connections.
Are we not supposed? Are we not supposed to have the? Well, it's.
No. I'm sure that there's been. I'm sure it's.
Well, the powers that be are starting to push the record, because the release date is.
They're doing their thing. It's got to be out.
What is it? May 17? What is it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. So. I think my favorite right now is Tension. I'm about mid-record.
Oh, right on.
Tension, and I like Crucifixation. And let me just say, as a singer, Mark is one of the most versatile, incredibly talented Bay Area icon dudes because he's a dude. He's just a dude.
He's a dude. He's one of my favorite dudes.
Yeah, he's a dude, and he has that reputation of like little bit of knucklehead, fun guy, super. Yeah,
always smile. Always laugh.
Smiling guy, you know. And it seems like the Death Angel camp is just such a sweet bunch of cats, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think out of all of them, Mark is the only one I've met, and it's been very brief and spotted over the past 35 years or whatever. Right on. So
yeah,
I don't know Mark, but back to his vocals on the Carrie record. I mean, is it deliberate that there are moments where if I squint, there's a little bit of Tom happening?
A lot of Tom and some, the Idle Hands.
There's
is it a cadence thing?
Perry definitely, I don't want to say coached them, but worked with Mark. And the funny thing is, and I didn't know this, is that Carrie on the demos, Carrie sings. He sings out the phrasing, and he sings on the demos. This is what it's going to be.
Wow.
And I would there's a point where it's just like, oh fuck, this is maybe where Tom got the style for the later stuff too, because that's how Carrie sings. And it's like, I don't know what came first, but to hear that style, it just seems like that style of vocal is what is required for this music. And there are, I mean, I love what Mark did on this record, because I was afraid that it was going to be a little too, that his trademark vocals would make it a little too Death Angel. But now, seeing what has happened on this record, it makes it, inherent, and just the DNA is, this camp, it's Carrie's, his stamp or whatever, but, and Mark making it his own, and all of us having our little sprinkles, that's what we are for Carrie's built the cake, and the cake is here, and we're just kind of little sprinkles and giving all the
Carrie's the cake, and you guys are the sprinkles on the icing. Yeah.
Yes. For sure.
Well, I'm just saying that he sounds fucking. I don't know if I've ever heard him. Well, it's hard to say because he's great, but Mark sounds fucking great on this record.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think everybody knocked it out of the park. Paul's doing some crazy stuff on there.
He's man, that guy is just wicked.
I love Paul's drumming.
You mentioned that song "Tension," and it's in sixes, so it's like, I'm all, where's the one in this song? And it took me a minute to find. Is it throughout everything? So listen to it again, and you'll hear 4, 5,
no wonder
1,
I liked
2,
it.
3, 4, 5, 6, 1. So it's
no wonder I liked it.
Yes. Yes, of course.
No fucking wonder. It's half Rush.
Yeah, a little progressive for a camping song.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
very cool, man.
Carrie has said in the press that if you are a fan of Slayer, that you'll find lots to like on this record, and I couldn't agree more. And I think
that's fair.
A large part of that is what is, to Jason's point, Mark sounding a lot like Tom in places.
I hear Mark, full Mark. I want everyone to know that I hear Mark, and if you're a Death Angel fan, a big duh there. Yeah, you're gonna hear Mark and go, there he is, there's my boy, But then you're gonna hear. It's interesting insight. I'm so glad that you're here talking to us about this today, because the insight we're getting right now is changing my it's actually calming my mind down to think, so Carrie is sort of like molding, he's stirring the batter.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's building he's baking the cake. He's making the cake.
Yeah, the vocalist for this it's kind of the face of his machine, it's the grill, it's what people are going to identify with.
I guess I'm also. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He wanted it to be identifiable and not just some other dude or whatever, but he wanted it to make it needed to fit the car, it needed to fit to where it was, and only he knows, what that should be at this point. It's so new, and this is what he wants it to be. So it's it's still Mark, it's still him. But
that's what I'm. Yeah, I guess that's my point. It's still Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, real quick? Do you think this is not unrelated at all? Do you think that a lot of Carrie's songs and lyrics and riffs and Slayer, world of Slayer, do you think that he was actually? Do you know for a fact that Carrie was singing on the demos for Tom?
I don't know that. I don't know about.
You don't know that. Okay.
I don't know it. I think that has been that camp's MO.
Wow.
For a bit, that
I would have never even thought to think that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I received the demos from this stuff. I mean, he was even talking about maybe, if I can't find a singer, he might even sing it himself. He didn't want to, but
How did he sound in a nutshell?
He sounds like kind of like Tom.
Wow.
You would think that, if hearing Carrie sing Slayer tunes, it would be really similar. I think that he's.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that, it's been a while since I heard it, but that's the vibe I got from it, was like that,
Yeah. So interesting. It just, not that it's a new spin, but just the way it materializes that way. It's crazy.
Sure, and he didn't have a vocalist at the time, so I don't know if Tom did that I don't know if Carrie did that for Slayer. I imagine that he did, because he wrote a lot of the lyrics, so he wants to hear how it would sound, or how the phrasing would sound, or whatever. I did that with. No, I didn't do that with any Violence stuff. Sean pretty much had his own trip down. I sang in a band called Torque after Violence broke up, and so that's when I started, vocalizing, and I'll do that now with even in stuff that I'm writing for other projects and stuff. Is I'll just beatbox a vocal line or something like that with no lyrics. I'm sure you do that the same. You have a phrasing that you like, but no lyrics yet. You just mush mouth, whatever.
Super common.
Yeah. So the Carrie thing, very much a thrash album, obviously. But there's a song on there called Two Fists. And to me, that song stands out because it's much more rock and roll compared to the other tracks on the record. And don't tell Carrie this, but I almost hear a Motley Crue vibe in there.
Really?
I hear.
You know what? I know the riff you're talking about. It's that down, the Too Fast for Love riff.
Too Fast for Love. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in that part. It's supposed to be, it's the punk rock song, so it's more punk.
Yeah. Yeah. It stood out to me.
Different.
Yeah, it's definitely the black sheep song of the record, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it definitely stands apart from the vibe of the other songs. Much more rock and rolly, much more punk rock. And then I heard that riff, and I was like, I know that riff. What is that? And I was like, oh, it sounds like Motley Crue. And I was like,
almost.
Wow.
You have a picture. I'll do the old Vanilla Ice. Theirs goes, and ours goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we can't hear it.
Can't hear it.
All right.
No. But so anyway, it kind of struck me as sort of an oddball song compared to the rest of the record. But I just wanted to get your take on that. See if I was crazy.
Yeah. I'm right there with you with that riff. The song Rage is also, I think that one might have been left over from Repentless Sessions, but that one's more like an early 80s power metal, before pre-thrash, because it's double bass. You haven't heard that much with Slayer, so the song Rage with it's almost like a Judas Priest Painkiller.
Yeah.
Metal
and
church.
I really like that song because of that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I know we can't look into the future, but and I don't want to put you on the spot either, but going forward, is this the type of situation you could see yourself being happy in for another couple albums, or are you the kind of guy that's going to at some point need to have a stronger voice in the collaboration, and therefore there's, maybe you're not going to be comfortable just sort of following Carrie's lead the entire time, however long this lasts?
I think for this, that, you know, this is what I signed up for, and I'm 100% on board with that. You know, I like what he wrote. He's given me space to express myself in the solos, and um, I think that, yeah, I could see myself being happy in this position, even if I don't need to collaborate in the sense, because he's given me the freedom to, you can write music with whoever you want. You know, I've got a record coming out with, I don't think I should be saying this, but I wrote a record with John Bush and Mike Orlando and Jason Bittner and Jack Gibson called Category 7. And that's coming out in, my manager's going to kill me, but I'm fucking saying it anyway. It's coming out in June. So that announcement's coming out in April but you know, I have that outlet in that sense. If I want to write thrash stuff, and I can, you know,
you're
can write.
safe. You're safe. This episode won't come out till next month anyway.
All right.
It'll come out in a few weeks or something.
Okay.
So you're safe.
You've got other outlets, is what you're saying. You've got plenty of creative outlets for doing what you want to do.
But he's also mentioned to me that because I was telling him, yeah, I'm writing, you know, we're probably going to write another Violence EP or a couple songs like that. And he was like, this is before, I'm not doing that now. But he's all, save some of your good riffs, you know. Yeah. Are you open to hearing some? He's like, yeah, probably, you know. He's a prolific writer, though. I think he's already almost got the second record written already.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah. I feel like I saw somewhere that he's already got enough songs stockpiled that you could have a second album out. And
yeah,
you know.
But it sounds to me like
he gave open. Yeah, he seemed to be open to, like, yeah, we'll see what you got type deal, and I can or I can't. It doesn't, you know, that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to, you know, make music. I love the dudes that are in the band. We've yet to play a note together yet. So, you know, we were together for a photo shoot, you know, a little bit. We're getting together next week to do something, but we've yet to sit down and jam together. So that'll be where we find our trip and where that connection is and where the energy is going to be and how that's all going to play out. So I'm interested in that. After not doing festivals for my last 5 years being in Machine Head, it's nice to be doing all of the festivals this year, you know, and being able to go see, you know, I lived in a bubble for the last 5 years with that band. You know, we played 3 hours a night. There was no opening bands. It was the same 11 guys every day, all over, you know, we're all over the world, but it's the same dudes every day. And I'm a pretty social dude, and I like to see my friends and kind of to break away. So that was probably what sent a lot of things towards my end in Machine Head, was just being like, felt stuck in this bubble in this little fucking thing with, you know, with some people that I just didn't want to be around. And that was kind of suffocating to me in that sense.
Yeah.
Being now in a position to where it's just like, you know, and you've probably seen a lot that I've done in the past 5 years. And it's just this vast, you know, I feel like I can, between me and Portnoy, we have touched every musician walking the fucking earth, you know. Yeah. The 5 degrees of separation of, you know, the two of us. And it's been such a fulfilling musical experience for me. And especially to have my heroes and a lot of these legends come to me and want to be collaborating with me or just have these glowing things to say. It's just so life affirming. And so, I don't know if I can describe it anything other than that. It's just like, it's affirmed everything that because I left Machine Head and I didn't know if I was worth a shit. You know, I was feeling like I wasn't.
Wow.
I wasn't good enough to be in a professional band. So I had to go out and, you know, prove that wrong. And it helps. Like the day after my last Machine Head show, I get asked to be in Slayer. So that was a big step in the right direction.
That's not bad.
So, but even after that, you know, I was supposed to, I was set up to do the Bloodstock Festival with Devin Townsend in 2021, I think, when everything started to open up. But they required a quarantine. But I mean, Devin Townsend's, I'm going to be playing with him. Lamb of God, playing with Lamb of God. All these bands are coming at Testament and Overkill, and all these bands are like, hey, we want you to do this. And walking away from those experiences, not like, hey, I survived the experience, but goddamn, you fucking killed it, man. And we were so lucky to have you here. And they were calling me a badass. That was
right.
There you go.
Some full circle from our first conversation today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't there something that you do once in a while that has Bush and Ellefson and Portnoy? Isn't it the Metal Allegiance? What's that called? What's that thing called?
Yeah, Metal Allegiance is there's a core band made up of Mike Portnoy, this guy Mark Mingy, Ellefson, and Alex Skolnick, and they record originals, but then they bring Chuck and Bush and all kinds of all kinds of other peers, and they put on a show. They play some covers, and so that's fun as well. Being able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen you involved in that. Didn't you do something fairly recently that was a charity event there locally near you? I saw something. There was some videos. You brought a lot of people together, and I looked like it was at a nice large venue, and it was a local thing. Tell us a little bit about that and what that was called. I'm like totally sketching what
back in 2009, maybe 14. One of Dublin is a tight knit group. Like, I still hang out with a bunch of my high school buds, and we still are in the area. And we lost one of our classmates. He was a local cop who got shot by a gangbanger over in San Leandro. So we all got together. We were having a reunion. So yeah, this was 2015. And so we got all our my high school band back together, and we got this set list made up of Let It Go, Def Leppard, all these songs from our high school days. We did Purple Rain. We did, some Priest tunes, and it was just made up at the reunion of all our high school buddies. My drummer, the first guy I ever jammed drums with Danny Cunningham back in 1983, 1982. We jammed in his mom's living room, me and my buddy Donnie Spear too on guitar. And so right before this happened, his mom passed away, and they were getting the house ready for sale. So we jammed again in that same living room.
Wow.
As the same group playing these songs for our fallen classmate. And so after we did it, was at the local bar. We're like, oh, this was so much fun, man. Everybody had a good time. People were singing, it's all sing along songs. So it's just like, hey, we need to do this again, and yearly we would get together and just play silly cover tunes, Careless Whisper. We're doing Bon Jovi tunes. We're doing Separate Ways. We're doing Don't Stop Believing. We're just doing songs that people know and sing. We do Tooth and Nail from Dokken. And
so you're doing the Stranger Things soundtrack.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
And so people are coming out, and then so I'm starting to incorporate, Chuck Billy comes out, and Zed will sing with us, or Dave Ruth from Tesla's coming by, and we got Wayne from Hatebreed. So it's starting to grow where people are, becoming this community. We've got a buddy out in Livermore who's got this big compound and a big jam studio. So when we rehearse, we have this big barbecue, and people are, it's a whole communal thing.
Wow.
So once we bought the bar, we hold events there. 4th of July we'll usually play Seek and Destroy and Walk, and Fight for Your Right to Party, and everybody's just losing their mind singing, because we're mostly hacks. People that they're my high school buddies singing Wood by Alice in Chains, and people are butchering songs, and nobody cares because it's just like a live karaoke thing.
Yeah.
So we had a friend. Hey, we got the little guy.
That's fine.
So this is Magnus.
Hey, Magnus. How you doing, buddy?
So we have a friend that's in need. He got a motorcycle accident. We ran out the local joint, the local community center right around the corner from my house, quarter mile away from my house, place that I grew up playing in, when I was a kid. and we rent it out. We get more people coming together to do this thing. We raised, $20 grand or something crazy for them.
Wow.
And there's, we sell it out at like 400 people, and it's just local, all our local people. So anyway, so this last one we did, people are getting word about it, and I bump into Brad Gillis at a local, and he's into it, and who else comes by? Chuck and Eric from Testament are there. Who Dean Castronovo from Journey, comes and he sings.
Great singer.
Gretchen from Zepparella, amazing guitar player. She's jammed with us. So, who's the kid from American Idol? Like I did a
Durbin.
James Durbin is there. And
he's Santa Cruz. He's from Santa Cruz. Yeah,
he's local. So he destroys. Victim of Changes. And we do Here I Go Again and Still of the Night by Whitesnake with him. And it just brings the house down, man. It was awesome. So it's become this super community event that everybody feels like they're, that they're part of. And Wayne from Hatebreed again was there. So anyway, so we're called the Merkins, and that's
right. That's what it's called. I forgot about that.
It's just a super fun thing for everybody to be involved with. And we don't charge unless it's a charity thing, because I feel bad charging people to come watch us butcher songs. So it's just
right.
That sounds like great fun.
Well, I think that it's telling to kind of what you stand for, to put it in a quick sentence. I think it's great. I think it's great, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate all the love from you guys, man. This has been a cool hang. Don't touch it. No.
I was going to ask you, if I could, real quick before, if you have to go, I wanted to ask you, obviously a very prolific career, but what album would you say is your proudest moment?
Ooh.
Good question.
Man, albums?
Yeah.
They're all, the records I've done. I'm going to list some that there's not going to be one. The first one, Eternal Nightmare, because I wrote it when I was in high school, and to have it to be what it means to everybody at this time. So Eternal Nightmare for that reason. The latest Violence EP, writing all the music for that with Sean. I'm super proud of that. After
Let the World Burn.
Let the World Burn, yeah.
Okay.
Love that, and everything that, I just dissected those songs and wanted to, no, this isn't hard enough. I want this to be a harder riff in this. The BPMD record I did with Bobby Blitz, Mike Portnoy, and Mark Mingy, it was all 70s American band covers. So it's Nugent, Aerosmith, and ZZ Top, and Skinner. And that was the first thing I recorded after Machine Head.
Wow.
So
where can we find that?
That's out on Napalm Records. It's BPMD, American Made. You would dig it, dude. It's
yeah. I want to hear that shit.
Yeah, I bet you would dig it. It's all, it's kind of, it's not the big hits. It's Wang Tang, Sweet Poon Tang, it's Toy in the Attic. It's
B-side shit.
I picked a Bluish or Colt song to do.
Cool, man.
We did Dead or Alive, DOA from Van Halen's.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's a Cactus song on there.
Cool.
So playing all of that, and it's super guitar heavy, but Billy Gibbons gave like one of the biggest compliments I've ever got was like he heard us do Beer Drinkers, and he's all, that is the best ZZ Top cover song I've ever heard.
Whoa.
And I was, are you serious, man?
Wow.
So it was getting that from him, and all the covers that have been done of their songs, that was, I'm singing the dusty parts, too. So that was the BPMD record I'm super proud of.
You've been knighted.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
What's the American version of that?
Billy Gibbons called you a badass.
Yeah.
Right, he did.
Yeah.
Badass.
Yeah, by a Texan.
Yeah.
You've been knighted by a Texan. You're honorary, bro.
I'm surprised I didn't hear the Blackening in there.
Yeah, I was trying to see what my proudest moment with Machine Head would be, and I would almost say The Locust.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I wrote a lot of lyrics on that. the Locust concept was mine. Like most of the sing along songs on that record were, you know, the Locust. That was mine. Darkness Within. Blah, no, no, blah, no, no, no. You know, those were. I think that the Locust was a super emotional time for me too. I was going through a nasty custody battle for my 17-year-old, and I think that that was my most proud moment in Machine Head.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Well, the solos on the new Carrie record are much like, you know, Carrie and Jeff. You could just tell those guys apart.
Right.
You're fitting great with Carrie. You know, Carrie is Carrie, and I love his style, which is his very own. He almost created he's Carrie, and you have that same. It's recognizable. And I'm digging the record, and we just appreciate you being here today.
Right on, man.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Come out when we come through Texas.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was Hell's Heroes, man.
Dude, that's a great Texas, I was going to say American festival that rivals like a Keep It True.
Yeah.
It is so cool, man. And this year they had of course, the big outdoor, and they had indoor both going, and they had the set times, and no one played over the other. You know, they really had it figured out, and it was fucking packed. And for Watchtower to be part of that, unbelievable. And they got the ball rolling for a lot of the other shit that we got asked to do, because it was over a year ago that Hell's Heroes asked us, but. It was fucking great, and I was hanging with Juan Garcia from Agent Steel, and I mean, it was like I knew everybody. It was family. It was fantastic. It was great. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
Thanks so much for joining us. On behalf of my co-host Jason McMaster, I'm Metal Dave with Phil Demmel today on the Talk Louder podcast.
Right on, boys.